Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're plunging into, well, a whole collection of insights on mastering the English language. Our sources for this deep dive are just packed with everything from foundational grammar and practical phrases to common errors and, effective learning strategies.
Right. And our mission, as always, is to sort of extract the most important nuggets to help you navigate the complexities of English with, hopefully, greater confidence and clarity. Whether you're prepping for a critical meeting or just looking to enhance everyday conversations or maybe simply satisfying that curiosity, we're aiming for some genuine aha moments.
Yeah.
We think you'll find some surprising facts in here, too.
Okay, let's unpack this. Maybe we can start with the very building blocks of English communication. These aren't just simple phrases, are they? I mean, they seem to carry significant weight, cultural nuance, and how we interact day to day.
Oh, absolutely. It's fascinating how much social etiquette is woven into even the most basic English phrases. Take good morning, for instance. You might think it's just for, well, the literal morning, but our research shows it's traditionally acceptable, actually, to use it from midnight right up to 6 a.m.
Really? Even if it's still dark?
Yeah, because the date has technically changed. It's a polite acknowledgement of the new day starting.
That's a subtle but, wow, really useful distinction for anyone navigating those late night or super early interactions.
Exactly. Now, for more informal greetings, with friends or peers, you've got simple options like hi, hello, or maybe what's up. But then when it comes to requests versus commands, just one word can transform everything. Please.
Please come here. That's a polite request. It instantly softens come here, which, can sound much more like an order.
Yeah, quite blunt.
Right. And similarly, if you're offering something, using have is the polite way, please have tea or please have my mobile. It signals an invitation, not just a statement. So politeness isn't just a nicety here. It's like fundamental for clarity, avoiding miscommunication.
It absolutely is. And for apologies, English offers a whole spectrum. You've got a simple sorry or I am sorry for a more direct acknowledgement, right up to I am extremely sorry for, more significant mistakes. And when someone shows you kindness, expressing gratitude is key.
Yeah.
Options include thank you very much, thanks a lot, or maybe so nice of you. And it's just as important to know how to respond graciously when you're thanked, to avoid seeming, mannerless.
Right.
Common responses include, it's okay, mention not, no mention please, you are welcome, or it's my pleasure. Each has a slightly different feel, a different level of formality.
It's incredible how many options we have just for saying, you're welcome. What about interrupting? If you need to jump into a conversation politely.
For that, a simple excuse me or I am sorry usually works best. And here's a neat cultural nugget. When politely gesturing for an elder or someone important to go first, the correct phrase is after you.
After you.
Yeah. Saying you first can sound a bit abrupt, maybe even demanding. After you shows proper deference.
That's a great practical tip. I think I've definitely heard you first more often, so knowing the polite alternative is really valuable.
And this leads us to how we ask about someone's well-being. For acquaintances, the standard is, how are you? The typical answer, I am fine, thank you. Simple. However, for strangers, especially in more formal or, let's say, traditional settings, how do you do is used.
Okay. And the response is?
The unique response is just to echo it back, how do you do?
Just repeat it.
Yeah. It's more of a formal greeting, like a ritual, than an actual question about their health. And if you haven't seen someone in ages, long time no see is a very common informal phrase. If you want to politely offer to do something for someone, you'd say, please allow me. When you're happy to meet someone, options like, nice to meet you, pleased to meet you, or glad to meet you are all good.
And the usual reply.
Same here is a very frequent reciprocal response. Oh, and finally, if you need someone to repeat something, instead of a clunky, sorry, what'd you say? Or, excuse me, can you speak again? A simple, polite pardon is much more concise and, frankly, smoother.
Wow. Okay, it's really clear that mastering these, seemingly small details makes a huge difference in daily interactions. It builds confidence, one polite phrase at a time. It's about more than just the words, isn't it? It's the whole social fabric of the language. Right, so now let's transition from those everyday pleasantries to the core mechanics of English grammar. We're going to dive into some foundational concepts here, the essential building blocks for constructing clear sentences.
Yeah, it's fascinating how we categorize words to build meaning. Let's start with nouns. We classify them as countable, like pen or mobile, things you can literally count, versus uncountable, like sugar or water, which are measured more by quantity. Nouns are also either singular, like pen or the place name Bille, or plural, meaning more than one.
Okay, so understanding that distinction is key for getting verb agreement right later on.
Precisely. Then we have pronouns. These are the words used in place of a noun, basically to avoid repetition and help sentences flow better. And verbs, of course, the action or state words, they're crucial. Our materials highlight the main types. Transitive verbs, which take a direct object, like in Ram gave a rupee, and intransitive, which don't need an object. They're also incomplete and auxiliary verbs, which help the main verb.
And adverbs, those powerful words that add layers and layers of detail.
Indeed. Maybe instead of trying to memorize every single type of adverb, just think of them as the words that add color and detail. They tell you how, when, where, or to what extent something happens so quickly. It tells us how you move, not just that you moved. They modify verbs, adjectives, even other adverbs. They really clarify the action or description.
Okay, here's where it gets particularly interesting and often, I think, pretty confusing for learners. Phrasal verbs. How can a simple word combination completely change the meaning like that?
That's a great point. The real aha moment with phrasal verbs often comes when you realize they're almost like mini idioms. You combine a verb with a preposition or an adverb and boom, a whole new meaning emerges that isn't always logically connected to the original words. Like get up means to rise, look after means take care of, put on means to wear, give up means surrender, count on means rely on, and go into means investigate.
Wow.
The key thing is the literal meaning often gives you zero clue about the idiomatic one. So context and exposure are vital for understanding them. You have to learn them as unique vocabulary items.
They really can be tricky, yeah, relying so much on context. What if the word it? It seems incredibly versatile, almost like a linguistic chameleon.
It truly is. Yeah. It often refers to non-living objects, sure, but its real power lies in its ability to refer to abstract ideas or general situations where there isn't a clear doer. We use it for time and dates. It is 10 o'clock, it is Sunday. It's essential for natural events and weather. It is raining, it was snowing, it is summer season, or today it is very hot. It can also make impersonal statements like, now it is good to go, or it is bad to smoke.
Yeah.
And while it's primarily for non-living things, birds, small animals, insects, or even newborns like it is a book, it is a butterfly, or it is my baby, it's crucial to remember.
You wouldn't use it for people.
Exactly. Saying it is Mohan or it is my friend is incorrect. For people, we use he or she. You also use it when referring to general situations or statements. Today it is my fast, next month it is my marriage, or now it is your turn. And for telling time with minutes, we say things like it is 10:05, it is 12:30, or it is 24 minutes to 12.
That covers so much ground. It's clearly a real workhorse of a word, especially for those less concrete ideas. What about there is and there are?
Ah, yes. These are simply used to express existence or location. Basically, to say something is somewhere. If you have one item, you use there is, like there is a shirt in the wardrobe. If you have multiple items, you use there are, as in there are many temples in Dongargar. It's about establishing presence.
Okay, now for a notoriously challenging area.
Yeah.
Prepositions, they always seem to be the bane of English learners, mainly because they don't always translate directly, right?
You're absolutely right. Our materials really emphasize this. A single word in, say, Hindi like Kate can require many different English prepositions. It creates immense confusion. Let's maybe focus on a few common tricky ones. In, for instance. It means in some contexts, sure, but not every chur translates to in. That's the trap. You use in for large cities, I live in Delhi, for months, years, and seasons. He will come in January. He came in 2001. Where are you going in summer? And also for time duration, he can come in 2 hours.
So it's definitely not a one-to-one translation. Precise usage is so important.
Never one-to-one. Then there's at. Use at for small places, specific clock times. I am going to Delhi at 2 o'clock. Age. She got married at 25. And states or conditions. By is used for means of travel. He came by plane. Deadlines. Finished the work by 5 o'clock. And differences in amount. The train is late by 2 hours. A for usually indicates purpose. I am cooking food for Mohan. And with can describe using a tool. I am writing a letter with a pen or accompanying someone. Mohan is with me. And that's just scratching the surface. Others like the side, behind, in front of, within, they all have specific uses. Understanding their distinct applications is key.
If we connect this back to the bigger picture, mastering these building blocks, nouns, verbs, prepositions, it's like understanding the engine of a powerful car, isn't it? It allows for much smoother, more precise operation in your communication. It moves you from just getting by to, well, truly expressing yourself with confidence. Okay, now that we've looked at those core building blocks, let's shift our focus. Let's talk about how actions unfold across time, the magic of tenses and modal verbs. This is where we learn to precisely describe when something happened, is happening, or will happen. It's crucial stuff.
Right, and the core concept here is subject agreement across tenses. Our research uses a pretty helpful analogy, actually. It talks about brothers, he, she, it, noun singular, sisters, we, you, they, noun plural, and mama. While these subject groups stay the same, the helping verbs and the verb forms V1, the base form, V2, past simple, V3, past participle, and V4, the ing form or present participle, they change depending on the tense you're using.
That's a useful way to visualize it, those consistent subject groups. Okay, so let's start with the basics, maybe present indefinite or simple present.
Sure. For present indefinite, the basic structure, and especially the negative forms, use do or does with the base verb V1. For example, I do not play cricket, or she does not make tea. Present continuous, on the other hand, describes ongoing actions happening now. For present perfect, if you're asking a question, the structure often starts with an interrogative word, IW, like what or why, then have or has, then the subject, then V3, the past participle, and finally the object, ending with a question mark.
Right. Now, present perfect continuous, that's the one that often trips people up with since and for. How do we make sense of that distinction? It seems to come up a lot.
It is a common challenge, definitely. This tense is often recognized by phrases indicating time plus since for. The key is this. Since is used for a fixed starting point in time. Since morning, since March, since childhood. It pins it down. For, however, indicates a duration, a period of time, for 2 hours, for 4 months, for many days. Think of it like this. A contractor might say, I've been building this house since 2005. That's a fixed starting point. But a student might say, I've been studying for 3 hours. That's measuring the duration, the stretch of time.
Ah, that contractor and student analogy really clarifies it. Okay, what about the past indefinite or simple past?
For past indefinite questions, the structure is similar. Interrogative word, then did, then the subject, then crucially, V1, the base form, and the object. Remember V1 after did. In past continuous, you need to remember the subject agreement for was and were. Yesterday it was raining, or we were taking dinner. Well, and for past possession, you can say, I had no money, or alternatively, I did not have money. Notice you use have with did not.
Got it. And the past perfect?
Past perfect has its affirmative structure, negative, subject plus add plus not plus V3, and interrogative, IW plus had plus subject plus V3 plus object. It usually describes an action completed before another past action. Moving to the future. Future indefinite, or simple future, describes basic future actions. The structure is straightforward. Subject plus will plus V1 plus object, typus. This basic structure applies to negative, will not or won't, and interrogative forms too.
Seems fairly consistent. What about expressing future existence?
Yeah.
Like saying something will be somewhere.
Right. For that, you use there will be. For example, tomorrow there will be a book in the box, or there will be many boys in the room. Future continuous follows the structure subject plus will plus be plus V4 plus object. Remember to place not after will for negatives, subject plus will not plus be plus V4. For future possession, it's will have, like he will have a government job tomorrow. And lastly, just quickly, to add emphasis to a statement, you can insert do, does, or did right before the main verb. These are called emphatic sentences. For instance, saying, I do wake up at 6 o'clock adds a stronger affirmation than just, I wake up at 6 o'clock.
Those emphatic sentences really do pack a punch. Okay, now let's talk about modal verbs. These add even more layers of meaning, right? Things like possibility, ability, obligation.
Yes, modal verbs are incredibly powerful and nuanced. Let's take may. It's primarily used for permission, like, may I come in? And it subtly contrasts with can, which generally expresses ability or strength. I can lift this box. Then there's have to or has to, used for compulsion or necessity. Think of it like a genie in a bottle analogy our source uses. When you rub the lamp, you have to make a wish. It's that feeling of external obligation, not really a choice.
Ah, okay. So it's about external pressure, not just wanting to do something.
Exactly. Like, I have to go now implies an obligation, or your father had to go by bicycle suggests there was no other option. This extends to the past with had to, and the future with will have to. Then able to expresses ability or capability. In the present, you were able to go alone. In the past, he was able to break the door. Should is generally used for advice or obligation, like you should improve your communication skills. It can also express past advice or regret, like he should have gone to school, meaning he didn't, but it would have been better if he had. For strong obligation or necessity, you use must. You must meet a doctor immediately. Or maybe a strong recommendation like, Papa, you must watch this movie. Ought to is similar to should, but often carries a stronger sense of moral duty or correctness. Things like, we ought to respect the national flag, or you ought to speak the truth always.
What about expressing just a plain desire or maybe a future plan?
For desire, we use want to, as in, I want to buy a mobile. Just remember to use do not or does not for negatives. I do not want to go. Going to is used for planned future actions or intentions, things you've already decided on, like the government is going to build a new dam. Used to describes past habits or routines that are no longer true. For instance, I used to play cricket every day implies I don't anymore. The source mentions the movie Kajini as an example context for this. Supposed to indicates expectations or obligations, what is required or expected in a situation. He is not supposed to go out after dark, or you are supposed to help the children with their homework. And finally, just a quick note on make. It signifies creation or production. It's important to distinguish it from become. You want to become a doctor, not make a doctor.
Wow, okay. Understanding these structures truly allows for such precise and confident expression. It takes your English to the next level, letting you convey all these subtle meanings about actions, time, intention, obligation. Really powerful. All right, let's move into how we actually structure our sentences for maximum clarity and nuance. We'll cover things like articles, voice, and even how direct and indirect dialogue works. This is where we really start refining our communication, choosing the best way to frame our message.
Exactly. This is about fine-tuning. Let's kick off with articles a, an, and the. The definite article the has some pretty specific rules for its use. We use the before unique things like the sun, the moon. Also before religious texts, historical buildings like the Taj Mahal, mountain ranges like the Himalayas, rivers like the Ganga, specific named trains like the Taj Express, and inventions like the telephone or the radio. It's also used before religious communities, political parties, nationalities when referring to the group as a whole, like the German people, and with common nouns used with adjectives to specify armed forces like the army, the navy, and parts of the body when they're affected by an action like, he hit me on the head. And something often overlooked is pronunciation. It's pronounced D before vowel sounds the apple and day before consonant sounds the book.
Right. And when do we not use articles? That zero article rule comes into play, right?
Exactly. We specifically avoid articles, especially the, with most proper nouns names of people, most places. For instance, Ram is coming from Delhi is correct. We wouldn't say the Ram is coming from the Delhi. That just sounds wrong.
Okay. Now, question tags. They add such a conversational feel, don't they? Almost like you're checking in with the listeners, seeking confirmation.
They absolutely do. Question tags are great for emphasis or seeking agreement, and the rule is quite straightforward, actually. A positive sentence generally takes a negative tag, and a negative sentence takes a positive tag. For example, you go to college, don't you? Or you don't like coffee, do you?
Simple enough when you put it like that. Okay, direct and indirect speech. This can feel like navigating a bit of a maze, with all the shifts and tense and pronouns.
They certainly can seem complex at first. Direct speech is easy. It's quoting the speaker's exact words inside quotation marks. Indirect speech, or reported speech, is where we report what someone said without the direct quote. And yes, this often involves subtle shifts. The rules generally involve changing verbs, for example. If the reporting verb is in the past, like said, the verb tense in the reported clause usually shifts back. So I am happy becomes he said he was happy. Pronouns also change based on who's speaking and who's listening. And time and place words often shift to today might become that day, here might become there. For commands or imperatives, the reporting verb changes to something like ordered, requested, told, followed by to or not to, and the base verb. He said sit down becomes he told me to sit down. Goose. And for questions, yes/no questions usually use if or whether as a connector in indirect speech. Why-type questions what, where, why use the way word itself as the connector.
Okay, that makes sense. Moving on to passive voice. This really changes the focus of the sentence, doesn't it? Shifting attention away from the doer onto the action or the object.
Exactly. Passive voice is used when we want to emphasize the object or the recipient of the action rather than the subject, the person or thing doing the action. Think about news headlines. India was defeated, or the notorious smuggler Veerapan was killed. The focus is on the event, the outcome. Who did it might be unknown, obvious, or less important in that moment. So there are basically two main types. One where the subject, the doer, is unknown or unimportant, my car was stolen. And the other where the subject is present but introduced by the preposition, by Ravana was killed by Rama.
What's fascinating is how the basic formula adapts across different tenses, but that core concept, object becoming the focus, stays the same.
Indeed, the general formula is usually object plus appropriate form of be plus V3, the past participle, plus optionally by plus subject. This applies across tenses. In present indefinite passive, children are not beaten here. Present continuous passive. You are not being called right now. Past indefinite passive, 100 people were killed. Sulag mergewe. We can also use passive voice with modal verbs. It can be done. The police must be called. The match could not have been won. Our materials even introduce using get as an alternative structure for passive voice, especially in more informal contexts, like he's getting beaten by me, which can sometimes imply the process more strongly.
These are very specific and useful structures. Let's switch gears slightly and talk about some common conversational phrases now, the kind that really help elevate everyday communication and make you sound more natural.
Yes, these expressions are vital for fluency, like looking forward to, plus a verb ending in weager. It expresses eager anticipation. I am looking forward to talking with you, or I'm looking forward to learning the English language. Then there's I have something, plus an infinitive verb, to plus verb. It's for possessing something or needing to do something. I have something to tell you, or I have something fun for us to do. I'm here to, plus a base verb clearly states your purpose for being somewhere. I am here to apply for the job.
And when you just want to express a desire or a mood, like I fancy doing something,
For that, you'd use I feel like, plus a verb ending in ing. For example, I feel like dancing, or I do not feel like leaving yet. To make a promise, it's usually I promise I will, plus the base verb, V1, I promise I will tell you the truth. To state you lack time for an obligation, you'd say I don't have time to, plus the base verb, I do not have time to explain everything right now. For expressing intention or the lack of it, you use I mean to, or I didn't mean to, I mean to tell you, or I did not mean to make you confused. And finally, for describing near future intentions or plans, you can use I plan to, plus the base verb. I plan to find a new apartment next month.
these structures really do move you beyond just basic communication. They let you express more complex thoughts and feelings with clarity and confidence. It allows for a much richer kind of exchange, doesn't it? Okay, now we get to explore the really colorful and, let's be honest, often confusing world of idiomatic expressions, slang, and those tricky, commonly misused words. This is the stuff that truly elevates your English, giving it authenticity and character.
Yeah, this segment is packed with practical advice, things you can use immediately. Let's start with some common errors that many English learners make, and crucially, how to correct them. For example, instead of saying Rahul is kindness, that's using the noun, the correct adjectival form is Rahul is so kind. Or you wouldn't typically say, I'll wash my hat today if you mean someone else will do it for you. It should be, I'll have my hat washed today, using that causative structure. Another common mistake is with verb forms in tenses. Papa is go to duty. That's wrong. It should be Papa has gone to duty, present perfect, or Papa goes to duty, simple present, and watch subject-verb agreement, especially with pronouns. My father is a doctor and they come at 5 o'clock is incorrect. It should be he comes at 5 o'clock.
Right, those small changes make such a big difference in sounding natural. What about something like driving a bike? I hear that sometimes.
Ah, yes. I am driving a bike is incorrect. You typically ride a bike or any two-wheeler. You drive vehicles with 4 or more wheels, like a car or a bus. Similarly, instead of I am drinking tea, it's often more natural, especially in some contexts, to say I am taking tea or I'm having tea. Take or have is often used for measured drinks you sip, like tea or coffee. A common intention error is saying I want to make a doctor. You don't make a profession. It should be I want to become a doctor or I want to be a doctor. Also, avoid redundancy. It is a blunder mistake, is saying big mistake because blunder already means a big mistake. Just say it is a blunder.
Okay, and what about when you're sick? Saying I have fever.
While understood, technically the physical symptom is a high temperature, so I have a temperature. Or more commonly, I have a fever is preferred over just I have fever. In the past tense, a structure like I was go to school is grammatically incorrect. It should be I went to school, simple past, or maybe I had gone to school, past perfect, depending on context. When asking about cost, remember the difference between prize, an award, and price, cost. It's what is the price of this mobile, not prize, aware. And finally, for etc., you simply use the abbreviation etc., or say the full phrase etc., don't say or write, etc., etc. That's redundant too.
Got it. Okay, let's talk about some truly confusing word pairs. These are the ones that can trip up even advanced speakers because they sound similar or look similar, but have really distinct meanings.
Oh, this raises such an important point. How often do we mistake words that sound or look alike? Our materials highlight quite a few. like momentary, which means brief, versus momentous, meaning very important or significant, big difference. Or eminent, referring to someone famous or respected, but imminent means something is about to happen, usually something bad. Censure means to criticize severely, whereas censor means to prohibit or remove objectionable parts, like from a film. Alternate means one after another in sequence. Alternative means a choice between two or more possibilities. Then there's the interested group. Interested means eager or curious. Uninterested means unconcerned or bored. But disinterested means impartial or unbiased, a crucial distinction, especially in formal context. Desert, that can be the sandy place, or the verb meaning to abandon. But dessert with two S's is the sweet dish you eat after a meal. Always remember the two S's for the sweet treat.
Good mnemonic.
Yeah. Then adore means to love or admire greatly, while adorn means to decorate. Voracious means truthful, but voracious means greedy or eager, especially about eating or reading a voracious reader. And lastly, the moral group. Moral relates to principles of right and wrong. Amoral means not concerned with morality at all, neither right nor wrong. And immoral means actively morally wrong.
Wow, these distinctions really highlight the incredible subtle complexities of English. Hey, idioms and proverbs, another rich area. They add so much flavor.
Yes, they absolutely do. They add color and authenticity to speech, often conveying complex ideas really succinctly. Our materials offer some memorable ones. If you're all at sea, you're completely puzzled or confused. If someone rides the high horse, they're acting arrogant or superior. A white elephant is a costly but useless possession, maybe an expensive gadget you never use. To turn the tables means to completely change the situation, usually reversing roles or fortunes. If you turn a blind eye to something, you deliberately pretend not to notice something wrong. The proverb, blood is thicker than water, suggests that family relationships and loyalties are the strongest. The squeaky wheel gets the grease means that the most noticeable problems or the loudest complaints tend to get attention first. Icing on the cake refers to an attractive but perhaps inessential addition that makes something already good even better. A blessing in disguise is something that seems like bad luck at first, but results in something good happening later. To bury the hatchet means to end a conflict or disagreement and make peace. To add insult to injury is to make a bad situation even worse by doing something further to upset or offend someone. And finally, burning the midnight oil means working or studying hard late into the night.
These phrases are just fantastic for making your English sound more vivid. And then there's slang and informal contractions, which are obviously used a lot in casual conversation. Good to understand them, even if you don't always use them.
Absolutely. Slang consists of very informal words or phrases, often used within specific groups or communities, and it changes quite fast. The source gives a Hindi example, dakan, for a dumb person. In English, examples might include BFF for best friends forever, bounce meaning to leave quickly, dope meaning cool or awesome, and fly meaning attractive or stylish. It's really crucial to remember that slang is primarily for spoken, informal communication, definitely not for formal writing or situations. Similarly, informal contractions like wanna for want to, gotta for got to, got you, forgot you, and lemmy for lemmy are super common in relaxed speech, but should also be avoided in formal writing.
That's a vital distinction. Now, speaking of words, English has this fascinating way of absorbing words from other languages, doesn't it? It really feels like a global language in that sense.
It's one of English's most unique characteristics, yeah. It really reflects its rich history and global interactions. Our materials highlight this diverse vocabulary. From Indian languages, we have words like dal, mantra, samosa, jungle, and guru, now common in English. From Japanese, we get rickshaw, sudoku, tsunami, and emoji. Chinese has given us words like ketchup and tea. Spanish contributions include coyote, mosquito, and mafia. And from French, a huge number, including democracy, machine, and alphabet. The list goes on and on.
It truly is a language that borrows and adapts from everywhere. And finally, just to round this off, similes, those comparisons that create such vivid imagery.
Right. Similes make comparisons using like, as, or sometimes so, to make descriptions more vivid and relatable. They paint strong mental pictures for the listener. Examples are things like as busy as a bee, as cold as ice, as cunning as a fox, and as easy as ABC. They're really powerful tools for evocative communication.
It's so clear that embracing these linguistic quirks, understanding these tricky distinctions, and using things like idioms and similes, it adds so much flavor and authenticity to your communication. It really moves your English beyond just functional to being truly expressive. Okay, let's turn now to the really practical side of learning. Let's address some common challenges and offer actionable strategies for your English learning journey. Because after all, knowing the rules is one thing, but actually applying them consistently, building those skills, that's another challenge altogether.
Exactly. And we can address some common questions directly that came up in our research. The first one is about memorizing vocabulary. It's acknowledged as absolutely crucial across all 5 learning areas: writing, speaking, reading, listening, and of course, exams.
So how do we tackle this in a way that makes the words truly stick? Not just learn them for a test and forget them.
Well, our material suggests several effective methods. One is the RRW technique: read, repeat, write. Maybe focus on about 20 words at a time, practicing them consistently throughout the day. Another is called the merry-go-round method. This involves cumulatively recalling words as you learn new ones, so you're constantly reinforcing prior learning while adding new vocabulary. And critically, you must use new words and sentences. Don't just memorize definitions. If you learn the word miser, actively use it. My uncle never spends money. He is a real miser. Make it active. But perhaps most importantly, the research stresses that revision is division, meaning consistent, regular revision is the absolute key to long-term retention. You have to revisit words every week, every month. It's all about spaced repetition, not just cramming.
That's such an excellent reminder. Retention comes from continued engagement, not just initial learning. Okay, what about understanding English commentary or movies? That requires a certain level of listening comprehension that can feel pretty daunting.
It truly does. Our sources emphasize that you need, and I quote, tremendous listening power. And this, of course, builds gradually over time. It doesn't happen overnight. The strategy recommended is to start with easier content, maybe children's movies, animated shows, or simple sports commentary where the speech is clearer and the context is visual. Then, as your comprehension improves, you gradually increase the difficulty. Don't jump straight into complex dramas or fast-paced news reports right away. Build up to it.
That makes sense. And reading English newspapers, that's a common goal for many learners, but often people just feel overwhelmed by the dense text and unfamiliar vocabulary.
Yeah, this raises a key question. Why do people find newspapers so tough? The materials identify common problems. The specific, often formal newspaper writing style, sometimes complex grammar structures, and definitely advanced vocabulary. The recommendation: start simpler. Begin with sections like sports, entertainment, or local news, rather than diving straight into complex opinion pieces or dense international politics. And crucially, don't just skip difficult words. Look them up. Actively note them down, maybe in a vocabulary notebook, because they might reappear. Persistence is absolutely key here. The source suggests trying consistently for at least 25 days to build the habit and start seeing improvement. Our research also brings up this interesting idea of learning grammar and vocabulary through stories, noting that, quote, humans forget everything except stories. The implication is that narrative context really aids memory and understanding.
That's a powerful thought, isn't it? That stories are so central to how we remember and learn. Okay, what about speaking English on stage, or just overcoming that common fear of public speaking in a new language? That's a huge hurdle for many people.
Oh, absolutely. Our materials strongly encourage bind ass, as the source puts it fearlessly, even if you make mistakes. Because making mistakes is an unavoidable, essential part of learning any language, especially speaking. Some practical tips offered include: maintain a smile. It can relax you and the audience. Honestly, acknowledge your fear if you need to. It's okay to be nervous. Speak with sufficient volume. This projects confidence and ensures you're heard. And maintain eye contact to engage your audience. For practice, the suggestions are great. Speak in front of a mirror, practice with friends who are supportive, record your own voice to hear yourself, and identify areas for improvement. Act out English dialogues from movies or plays, or even try doing live commentary on muted TV shows or sports games. The key is consistent, low-stakes practice.
Those are really actionable steps. What about improving writing speed? This is often crucial for academic work or professional communication.
Yes, another common challenge. The reasons often boil down to a few things. Perhaps poor spelling, maybe weak grammar leading to hesitation, sometimes slow thought generation in English, and often simply a lack of regular writing practice. For handwriting improvement specifically, the source focuses on the 3 Ps. Your pen, ensure it has an easy grip, not too thin or thick for your hand. Your paper, ideally placed on a surface angled at about 40 degrees, with your elbow not fully resting on the table. And the position of your hand, index finger resting lightly on top of the pen, holding it comfortably, not too tight. For cursive writing, it suggests practicing connecting letters smoothly, like practicing chains. Add CC, A key, ADA, starting slowly to focus on forming the letters beautifully and consistently, and only then gradually increasing speed. It's about building that muscle memory correctly first.
Interesting. Okay, there are so many advertisements out there, especially online, promising things like learn English in 30 days, myth or reality. What does the research say?
Our research unequivocally debunks this. English is a language. It's described as a lifelong process. It's not something you can just instantly download or learn completely in a month, like memorizing a few facts for a test. The message is clear. It's neither impossible nor magically quick. Learning a language well requires consistent, dedicated effort and often significant changes in your daily routine to truly integrate practice into your life. It's a marathon, definitely not a sprint.
Right. And connecting back to mindset, that plays a huge role in this marathon, doesn't it? The whole positive versus negative thinking aspect.
Absolutely. Our materials use that classic glass half empty, half full analogy. It really explains the profound impact your perspective has on learning. Positive thinking, believing you can do it, seeing mistakes as learning opportunities fosters resilience and persistence, which are crucial for long-term success. A negative mindset, on the other hand, can create self-imposed barriers and make you give up too easily.
It's so true. Okay, what about something really practical? Self-introduction. It's something we all have to do constantly in all sorts of settings, job interviews, new classes, meeting people socially.
Yes, presenting yourself effectively is definitely an art, and it's a core communication skill. Our sources break down the essential elements for a good self-introduction, adaptable for various settings. You usually start with a polite greeting appropriate for the situation. Good morning, sir. Good evening, everyone. Hi. Then state your name. I am Raj Sharma, or my name is Raj Sharma. Informally, sometimes, this is Raj Sharma on the phone or in introductions. Mention your place where you're from or where you live. I'm from Delhi. I belong to Delhi. I currently live in Delhi. Next, your qualification. I have done B.com. I am in class 10. I am a graduate. I am currently pursuing my MSc. Be specific to the context. Then, briefly, your family. You can concisely mention parents and siblings. For example, in my family, apart from my parents, I have 2 siblings, an elder brother and a younger sister. Keep it brief unless asked for more. You can then add any relevant additional skills or qualifications. Apart from my graduation, I've also completed a PGDCA. Only include what's relevant. Optionally, depending on the context, especially interviews, you might briefly mention your strengths, maybe one weakness you're working on, your hobbies, and your aim or career goal. And finally, you conclude appropriately, perhaps with a simple thank you or that's a little bit about me.
That's a really clear structure. And for describing everyday routines, another simple but important skill for basic conversation.
Right. You explain your personal daily routines mainly using the simple present tense because it describes regular habits. For example, I usually wake up at 6 a.m., then I go for a walk. After that, I study for about 2 hours before breakfast. Voice. And if you're describing someone else's routine, like your father's or mother's, remember that SES rule for third-person singular subjects, he, she, it. So my father wakes up at 7 a.m., then he goes to work, using wakes and goes.
These strategies really do empower you, the listener, with the tools and the mindset for continued growth in your English journey. It's clear that success really comes from consistent, mindful effort, doesn't it? So we've taken a really wide-ranging deep dive today, haven't we? We've covered a massive amount of ground, from those subtle nuances of basic etiquette and essential phrases, right through the intricate mechanics of grammar, identifying common errors to avoid, and exploring some really powerful, actionable learning strategies.
Yeah, and I think the core message, if we boil it down, is pretty clear. Learning English well is a journey. It's about continuous effort and discovery, not some destination you arrive at overnight and you're done. Just like a child learning to walk, you'll stumble, you'll make mistakes, it's inevitable. But the key is to embrace those moments as learning opportunities, maybe adjust your approach, and just keep moving forward. Every error is actually a step towards fluency if you learn from it.
That's a great way to put it. And maybe a final thought for you to consider. In a world absolutely flooded with information, understanding the nuances of language, any language, but perhaps especially a global one like English, isn't just about clearer communication. It's fundamentally about critical thinking, about appreciating complex systems. So what other areas of your daily life, perhaps, could benefit from a similar deep dive into their fundamental rules and maybe their hidden complexities? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today, and we certainly invite you to continue your learning journey with curiosity and persistence.